Hey, awesome friends. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about Simgot's best IEM. Out of all of the ones I have tried, this one is their best one. At least I think so. This is the Super Mix 4. So before we get into it, I want to go ahead and thank the homie Paul. He actually let us borrow this so that we can do this video. Thank you, Paul Wasabi. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. If for some reason you're not subscribed to him, but you're here watching this video, it's like, how does that happen? Everybody should know who Paul is. Dude puts in work. So thanks again, Paul. Super Mix 4 by Simgot, $150 IM with 4 different driver types. That's probably where it gets the 4 in its name from. And they're mixed in there. Maybe that's where they get the mix. Now, where do they get the super? Well, I don't know. Maybe it just sounded cool. So this is the second IM with 4 in the name that I've done this year, I believe, which isn't a lot, but kind of weird that it's happened twice. All right, so let's get into what's actually in the box. So unboxing is fairly simple yet elegant. Get it? There is not a lot of accessories here, but they're decent. It's more focused on the quality here and then the driver configuration and performance over, all the inclusions. You get one case, which is that same kind of pill-shaped case that you get with other Simgot sets. It's a decent case, semi-hard. Just like you get a set of ear tips, just one. Small, medium, a large pair, silicone. They're good. They're decent ear tips. They're going to get the job done, and they're not like super cheap, unlike other sets that might include more ear tips but lower quality. And then you get the cable, which is very pretty and it's nice. It feels good. It feels nice to use, except I'm not sure if this is on every set. It might just be this set. I guess the way the connectors were put on, the polarity is inverted. So when I use this cable on this IM, it inverted polarity. And for you guys that don't know what that is, it's just, have you ever walked up to a convenience store and you go to pull the door and it doesn't open, and then you look down and it says push? It's basically that. You're going to be pushing air when it shouldn't, and vice versa. So it is quite noticeable, and it does affect mostly the bass when the polarity is inverted. I tried a few of my Zen's cables and a few other stock cables, and those were all fine. So that leads me to believe that it's the cable itself, not the Super Mix 4. So if that's something that's going to bother you, plan on either cutting off the ear hooks and then flipping the cable around, which is doable. It's not that difficult. Or replacing the cable altogether, which kind of sucks because you just bought an IM and then you have to buy stuff for it. But if you already have extra cables, should work fine. As for the shell itself, build is good. It's very minimalistic. It has that little golden ring on there. It's very plain, but it's done in a classy way. So it looks fine. It doesn't look undone or unfinished, but it's also not flashy or even tacky. It's not overdone. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the sound impressions. But first, let's sniff the graph, which is right here. So while you guys are sniffing the graph, I'm going to go over a few keywords for the sound signature. This is something new that I'm trying to do on all my videos for reviews, at least. I want to give you some keywords to further describe the overall sound and characteristics of the sound of every set I review. And these are meant to be taken neutrally. I don't want these keywords to be negative or positive. They're just meant to give you a little bit more context, I guess. So keywords here, we have safe, smooth, clean, mundane, and calculated. So those are my keywords for this set. That is my impression of the overall sound signature. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the actual sound impressions, and we're going to start off with the bass like we usually do. So the bass was one of my favorite aspects of this set. It is Harmon-ish tuned overall, as you saw in the graph, but the bass still has that substance. There is still a good amount of body there. It doesn't come off as too thin or too polite in the mid bass, as you know, some people usually associate with Harmon. And overall, the bass presentation is mostly back end focused. So what I mean by that, it has a little bit more emphasis on that slam and rumble in the sub bass over the mid bass thump and impact. But I guess it could also be considered somewhat balanced, because I do not feel like I'm missing any of that mid bass presence at all. It is completely there and adequate for my preference. So sub bass is very visceral. There is a good amount of texture within that sub bass also, like those ripples. You can definitely feel them, but they're not like flabby or out of control, and at the same time they're not too controlled and rigid. They're a good balance between the two. It's actually pretty ideal for my preference how it's balanced. Mids are overall unexciting. They're very smooth, very clean, and that's how I like my mids. I really enjoyed the mids on this set. Male vocals are not lush, they're not completely dead either, but they're kind of just there. Good balance. They sound clean, but might be just a little too dull for some. And then female vocals, again, similar style in presentation, except with a little bit more energy, but they remain sweet and smooth, full bodied, just a touch of liveliness to give them bite and energy, but they don't have that airiness or wispiness, just a bit subdued. And now on to the treble. In my opinion, this was the weak point. The treble is extremely smooth and sounds refined, like it's very nice, but it doesn't feel like there's enough of it. It's just a bit too dark for me. Like, it's there, it just gets lost behind a lot of everything else. The treble has body, it's there, but no sizzle, no sparkle, no shimmer. It's more subdued and restrained, which is basically the main characteristic here of the entire sound signature. It just comes off as very controlled, very deliberate and calculated in its delivery. As for text, overall, they're pretty good. Details are not as concise or defined as I prefer, but not many other sets around this price point get to that level. It's still able to keep everything clean and separated. Stage overall feels a little bit more on the intimate side, not as expansive or airy. And for the comparison, I want to compare this to its probably main competitor, based on the price point and the sound signature, Truthier Nova. So overall, Nova is thinner, but it has a little bit more energy in the treble. It sounds a little bit airier and a little bit better on the fine details, but also comes off as less refined, just a little bit more crude in its presentation. The Super Mix 4 is a lot smoother overall. It gives it that more refined characteristic. Timbre has that little bit of edge on the Nova to make it sound a little bit more authentic instead of on the darker end. And then the stage on the Nova does feel more expansive and a little bit more open, probably because it's thinner and, you know, treblier. So overall, Nova is, you know, a little bit technically more capable, but less refined, while Super Mix 4 is smoother overall, but a little bit more mundane. It's almost like they took that safe signature and made it just a bit safer. All right, so that brings us to the rec rating for the Super Mix 4 by Simgot. This one's an easy 2 for me, so soft yes. There's a few things to consider here before you go out and buy this IM. Number one, the accessories. Low amount of accessories, which is fine, but keep in mind that cable. I'm not sure if that's every batch or if it was fixed, but there is the inverter polarity that you would have to deal with. Sound signature overall is plenty capable, but very safe. So easy to recommend, but might be a little too unengaging for some, especially if you already have a few sets or something tuned similarly to this. Build quality overall seems good. Again, other than that cable issue, everything is put together very well. The set is very versatile. So again, that brings us back to how safe it is. It's easy to recommend. I'm not a believer of the whole tuned to a specific genre thing, but this thing is tuned for nothing in particular. It just works fine for everything. And it K-pops pretty well. I actually really enjoyed this on K-pop. That is my review of the Simgot Super Mix 4. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you like the content, please consider liking and subscribing. We are trying to hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I am Awesome Danny, and until next time, you stay awesome, friends. Bye.
Danny and Sunny together in the light. That the time is out, so every moment feels so right.